Hello, I'm Bonnie Urbay. Welcome to TTC Extra. Taylor Swift is speaking out on the unfair treatment of women and the double standard she sees in the music industry, particularly when it comes to having a personal life. In an interview with Vogue magazine, she explains how she, quote, got absolutely slaughtered, end quote, for going on a few dates in her early 20s and, as a result, did not date anyone for more than 2 years. Atima, she just said the heck with, I mean, why isn't she expecting criticism in the media, and why doesn't she ignore it?
Well, I think it's actually interesting with Taylor Swift, like, part of that interview I actually had read. She said, like, you know, I got slaughtered, but then also she's like, the jokes that have been made about her is like, well, who wants to go out with her because she puts it all on social media, right? Like, she writes about it in her songs, like, you know, her latest album, 1989, the Style song is totally about her ex-boyfriend, Harry Styles. And so, you know, people are like gonna talk about it, people are gonna like tweet about it, people are gonna post about it. So, you know, I mean, there are relationships, for example, you know, high-profile woman over her career, Madonna had, that some people don't even know about because, like, granted, most of her like dating career was when she was much younger and social media wasn't around, but she also didn't talk about it in the press when she was dating. So I think that's part of where she's brought a little bit of that attention to herself.
So is anybody ever going to want to date her again?
I think so. I think she is a, you know, a very smart, savvy businesswoman, you know, and has like a great musical career and is a very engaging personality. So I think she'll find somebody who, you know, probably want to be a little bit more low key with her, for sure.
And I mean, if it helped her sell albums, I mean, you know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of women, and you know, men too have faced a lot of scrutiny over their dating lives. Charlie Sheen. I mean, there are lots of people who, you know, quote unquote,
now, he
get
dated
around.
like 9 women at a time.
But they get around. You know, is it fair that anyone should be mistreated, male or women, equally? No, that shouldn't be the case. But you do have to expect some sort of scrutiny when, and we were talking about this behind the cameras.
Yes.
We get scrutiny, and we are not Taylor Swift. So you kind of have to develop a little bit of a thicker skin.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair, though, to say that I should develop a thick skin because I should expect that people are going to write hateful things about me anytime that I step out.
Well, look
in
at what
public
happened to Amanda Carpenter. I mean,
right.
when you become a public figure, you should expect to be hacked, criticized. You know,
You should.
The internet's the Wild West, and people are going to say awful things about you.
It's a shame that we should have to expect to be treated that way. And when people like Amanda Carpenter and myself wake up every morning, I have to be terrified that someone is going to hurl an accusation like that to me on television, and then everyone is going to be questioning my marriage. I think that we shouldn't have to expect that kind of treatment, particularly as women, because I do think that women get that more in the media than men do. I don't think we should have to expect that.
And this is where I would argue that there is actually a sort of violent sexual nature with which a lot of the scrutiny and stalking comes toward women, that it doesn't come toward men in that same way. And I mean, when you look at this as somebody who's studied a lot of sort of the history of women and discrimination, this really does go back to the idea that when a woman was speaking in public, she was thought to be a public woman. And one of the things that meant was that you were actually a prostitute. And so historically speaking, being a woman in public means that all of you, your whole being, your whole body is essentially public property.
Yeah.
But look at what happened. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I want to throw out there, look at what happened with the Donald Trump thing and trying to get, you know, persuade delegates and getting violent about it. And the guy who suggested that if you don't want to support him, you should put a gun in your mouth and shoot yourself. And if you don't, we will send somebody over to your hotel room to do it for you.
They don't suggest that they'll rape you. I mean, one of the things that is very, no, I'm going to tell you that most women who are in the public space do receive threats that are sexually violent. Yeah. They are not simply just, I hate you, I wish you'd die, and we'd love to kill you. It is, we will torture you, we will hurt you, we will absolutely make sure that you will be humiliated and really brutalized.
And how should they respond to fight it?
Well, this is an interesting conversation because I remember hearing a talk with Kerry Washington at South by Southwest this year, and she talked exactly about that. And one of the things that she said was, you know, if people want to tweet about, you know, this is my latest nail color, this is like, you know, what I'm doing on the red carpet, that's fine. But like if I take a particular position on something, or you're just in a bad mood today and you say, I want to rape you or send you back to Africa, which by the way has happened to me, she said, then block. Like I don't want to deal with that in my life. I don't need that type of negativity, you know, and that's how some women respond to it. They just block it. You know, if it gets
How about calling it out? The whole Name It, Change It campaign with the Women's Media Center, where when sexist remarks were made in political races, that the woman who's the target should say, "This guy said this about me," and let's tweet him with nasty messages.
Some people do. I would say just in the Twitter community, you know, I've tweeted out. Yesterday I was dealing with some trolls specifically on sexism and women, and you know I had a whole bunch of people I was tweeting it back, I was retweeting the responses and responding to them, and some of my friends would jump in and be like, hey, and just distract that person, you know. So it's actually been a nice Twitter community amongst women to kind of look out for each other that way. Like, that's sexist. Don't say that.
But then
Inappropriate.
You get sucked in this huge Twitter conversation with people. It sucks up your entire day. And then there's more articles about how you got in a Twitter conversation with this troll who you totally should have just ignored.
It does go beyond what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that as a society, we shouldn't sit here and say, well, you should expect to be treated that way, so deal with it. But I also think it's difficult to get out there and start doing something about it sometimes, because then you draw more attention and more scrutiny to yourself and your behavior. And I think some people do look at that sort of thing and say, well, you know what, don't you have better things to do? Maybe you should just go be doing that. And then they don't feel sorry for you.
I could do it like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if I really wanted to. I think when it matters, I will do it, because what I want to set an example for other women who see that, because there are women who watch this happen and then they're like, well, I don't ever want to be a public persona. I don't want to ever write.
That's exactly what I think the problem is.
Like being able to be strong and say, like, I'm not going to put up with this. If it's really a specific thing that matters to me, I will take the time, because I want to show that women can respond and be strong, and you know, don't have to take this.
Speaking of time, we are out. So thank you all. Thanks for watching TTC Extra. Whether you agree or think to the contrary, please join us next time.